Hello, who are you and where are you from?
My name is Michael Goldberg, and I live in the beautiful Florida Keys.
And what city is this that we're in?
We are in Isla Morada, which is close to the center of the Keys.
And what do you do?
I own a dive business here in Isla Morada called Key Dives, and I also am the co-founder of iCare, which is a coral restoration group here. We've been working out on the coral reef for the past just over 2 years, trying to rebuild our reefs.
And you said something about before the interview yesterday about knowing, seeing the coral for 20 years or something, or underwater for 20 years.
I started diving decades ago. I'm always nervous of telling people how long I've been diving for. It gives away my age, but suffice to say, a very long time ago. And when I got into the dive industry as a dive instructor, I got into it because of the beauty of the coral reefs, the marine life, and all that it had to showcase to recreational divers. And since that time, I've seen a decline in the health of our ocean and the health of our coral reefs, such that at one time here, our coral coverage was in excess of 60%. But in the last 15 to 20 years, we've seen a precipitous drop into the actual live coral coverage. Currently, we have estimates of about a 95% and greater loss of our coral coverage here in the Florida Keys. And if you expand that beyond into the Caribbean, there are areas that have suffered almost as great a loss as we have due to, in large part, the changing climates that we're suffering and facing.
Overall, since you were a kid, have you seen any changes in the climate?
I don't know. It's really hard to compare to when I was a child. I grew up in Los Angeles, but I would have to say that since I got into the dive industry, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've watched underwater specifically what's happened, seen what's called coral bleaching events, seen those on numerous occasions and what that does. And coral bleaching is caused by increased water temperatures, and it is probably the single largest reason why we've seen or had a large loss in our coral reefs. But absolutely, I've seen a significant change in our ocean temperatures. I see a change in our weather patterns. Undoubtedly, living on a coast in a hurricane area, I've seen stronger and stronger hurricanes over the last 30 plus years. So yeah, absolutely.
And so, what does your foundation do exactly? It tries to restore these coral reefs, or what does it do?
Yeah, I mean, in essence, that is our overarching goal. We work with recreational divers. They are the workforce that we employ to go out and help rebuild our reefs. So if you wanted to go on a vacation diving, one of the things that we ask of you is to come with us and help us plant coral. And we take out recreational divers every week to help do just that. It's largely over the last 10 years been something reserved mostly for just scientists, but the mechanics of actually putting coral down on the sea floor, it doesn't take a science background. It takes us to oversee the work that's being done. It takes us to monitor and maintain the work that's being done, pick the right locations for the species, depth, conditions, and so forth. But the actual act of putting the coral on the reef, which is very satisfying for a recreational diver, especially ones that are kind of long in the tooth like me, get a chance to give back. Most of the people that I dive with now were diving 35 or more years ago, and they don't know what it used to look like. Their baseline is what we see today or what they saw 5 years ago. But the folks that are like me got to see what it was like, really would love, as a kind of a last act, to get that ball in rolling so that maybe the next generation or the generation of that can possibly see some of the things that we used to dive in and see the coral and the fish life and the beauty that we've largely lost.
So you've addressed some of it already, but as for the future, are you optimistic or pessimistic, and what can we do?
I'm optimistic. I wouldn't have started this foundation if I didn't believe that there was a really good chance of us being successful. there would be no point. I would have retired. I'm at the point of retirement now anyway, and I would have just packed it in and just got an RV and tooled around the country, maybe do something like you're doing and bike across the country. I don't know. But if I felt that there wasn't a chance, I wouldn't be here. So absolutely, the science that is being brought forth by our restoration community is such that it helps us create corals that are resilient, resistant, and can tolerate what we believe are the conditions of the future. Not just putting coral out and hope they survive, because that's a waste of everyone's resources, time, money. It doesn't make sense. As a business owner, I would never consider doing stuff like that. I don't throw things against the wall and hope they stick. And that's not what we do. We have a partner, Mote Marine Laboratories. They are some of the best coral scientists in the world, producing corals that are literally resilient to temperature, resilient to ocean acidification. They are resistant to disease, so that we believe that they will have a chance of survival long term, not just putting coral down.
And that lab is right next door to you, right?
Mote Marine Laboratories is actually based out of Sarasota, but they have their main facility is in Summerlin Key in the Lower Keys, where they do a lot of their science. They also do a lot of their science up in Sarasota, but we also have right here in Isla Mirada an onshore coral nursery where we raise the corals that we literally put out on the seafloor in partnership with Mote Marine Laboratory.
Fantastic. Here on the 9th of February in the Florida Keys. Thank you very much.
Thank you for taking the time to stop and chat with me. Good luck on your bike ride.
Thank you.